Quotes from Thomas Brooks. From the Kindle, Deep Christian Quotes and Bible Verses. First quote. A preacher's life should be a commentary upon his doctrine. Heavenly doctrine should always be adorned with a heavenly life. Second quote. Satan paints sin with virtue's colors. Third quote. The giving way to a less sin makes way for the committing of a greater. Fifth quote. It is better to have a sore than a seared conscience. Sixth quote. Nothing humbles and breaks the heart of a sinner like mercy and love. Souls that converse much with sin and wrath may be much terrified. But souls that converse much with grace and mercy will be much humbled. Seventh quote. Christ is lovely, Christ is very lovely, Christ is most lovely, Christ is always lovely, Christ is altogether lovely. Eighth quote. As the body lives by breathing, so the soul lives by believing. Ninth quote. Ambition is a gilded misery, a secret poison, a hidden plague, the engineer of deceit, the mother of hypocrisy, the parent of envy, the original of vices, the moth of holiness, the blinder of hearts, turning medicines into maladies, and remedies into diseases. 10th quote. He is the best preacher, not that tickles the ear, but that breaks the heart. 11th quote. As heat is opposed to cold, and light to darkness, so grace is opposed to sin. Fire and water may as well agree in the same vessel, as grace and sin in the same heart. 12th quote. If you would have a clear evidence that little love, that little faith, that little zeal you have is true, then live up to that love, live up to that faith, live up to that zeal that you have. And this will be evidence beyond all contradiction. 13th quote. Christ is to be answerable for all those that are given to him, at the last day, and therefore we need not doubt, but that he will certainly employ all the power of his Godhead, to secure and save, all those that he must be accountable for. Christ's charge and care of these that are given to him, extends even to the very day of their resurrection, that he may not so much as lose their dust, but gather it together again, and raise it up in glory to be a proof of his fidelity. For saith he, I shall lose nothing, but raise it up again at the last day. 14th quote. When God's hand is on thy back, let thy hand be on thy mouth, for though the affliction be sharp it shall be but short. 15th quote. When afflictions arrest us, we shall murmur and grumble and struggle until we see that it is God that strikes. 16th quote. God sees us in secret, therefore, let us seek his face in secret. Though heaven be God's palace, yet it is not his prison. 17th quote. Look, as a painted man is no man, and as painted fire is no fire, so a cold prayer is no prayer. 18th quote. Solomon got more hurt by his wealth, than he got good by his wisdom. 19th quote. A well-grounded assurance is always attended with three fair handmaids, love, humility and holy joy. 20th quote. There is great danger, yea, many times most danger, in the smallest sins. Greater sins do sooner startle the soul, and awaken and rouse up the soul to repentance, than lesser sins do. Little sins often slide into the soul, and breed, and work secretly and undiscernibly in the soul, till they come to be so strong, as to trample upon the soul and to cut the throat of the soul. 21. Repentance is the vomit of the soul. 22nd quote. Ah, believer, it is only heaven that is above all winds, storms, and tempests. God did not cast man out of paradise that he might find another paradise in this world. 23rd quote. Those years, months, weeks, days, and hours, that are not filled up with God, with Christ, with grace, and with duty, will certainly be filled up with vanity and folly. The neglect of one day, of one duty, of 1 hour, would undo us, if we had not an advocate with the Father. 24th quote. Consider that spiritual safety comes through spiritual unity. Christians united together are difficult to separate, difficult to break, difficult to pick off and destroy. It is when you isolate yourself by disrupting or denying unity that you are most at risk. 25th quote. Self is the only oil that makes the chariot wheels of the hypocrite move, in all religious concerns. 26th. There is oftentimes a great deal of knowledge where there is but little wisdom to improve that knowledge. It is not the most knowing Christian but the most wise Christian that sees, avoids, and escapes Satan's snares. Knowledge without wisdom is like metal in a blind horse, which is often an occasion of the rider's fall. Thanks.